Hello, everyone. Nice to see a lot of people, some persons that I met before here. And I'm a developer working on Open Knowledge Foundation. I worked in Open Knowledge Brazil a long time ago, and Open Knowledge Germany also, but now since 1 year, I'm in the foundation working in a couple of different projects. One of them is involving CKAN and Frictionless. For this presentation, I'm going to share my screen. Let me see if everything is going to work. Yes. Oh, yeah, I'm Brazilian, but I live in Italy, in a small city called Rapallo in Liguria. Okay. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Okay. And basically what I'm going to cover here is some different kind of projects that we been working in the last months, involving CKAN or Frictionless. And first one is the CKAN extension called Data Packager. Second one is the CKAN Next Validation. And I'm going to go in details soon. And the last one, I would say the most exciting one is the CKAN data portal support on the framework. And there is some work in a small Python library called the Frictionless CKAN Mapper that is working behind the scenes to convert between the data set format from CKAN to Frictionless and vice versa. You can load a package from CKAN and Frictionless or a resource, and there is automatic conversion of the names and metadata that's different. But first, the data packager. I'm going to share this notebook later, but basically all the projects that I'm going to talk here live in the Frictionless Data GitHub repository. And the data packager is an extension that adds to the CKAN portal outside of add dataset this import data package. This basically gives you in a CKAN portal another way to for the users or portal administrators to import a dataset, just providing a data package. And another thing that the CKAN Next extension is adds this download data package for any data sets that exist in your portal. This means that if you install this data package in your CKAN portal, even your data sets that don't have a data package, this button is going to generate one. I'm going to show this how this works. This is my local CKAN development instance. This import data package, you can provide a link to a remote location of the data package, or you can upload. I have a data package here somewhere here. Okay, and you can choose the organization, if it's going to be visible or not. Let me import. And okay, this was a data package that I downloaded from this Minas Gerais portal, CKAN portal, and it basically imported the data set, imported the metadata, imported the resource information. You can see that the resource here is still pointing to the Minas Gerais CKAN portal, the file. And you can see now, okay, the data sets, we have this private because I chose to be private. Now, automatically, we have the tags imported from this data set appearing in the CKAN facet filters. And if someone wants to download this as a data package, you just have this button and you're going to have a data package, a valid data package that you can use it or but it's publicly available in your website, or just a link to this button. It's also going to work. And as I said, I have, let me go back here, another, in this second instance, I have another data set that was not created using the data package, but you can, even not having the data package existing here, you can use this export as a data package feature. And okay, let's go back here. And the validation one is another one that's a lot of work in the last 3 months, I would say. And it's pretty exciting because it's basically provide all the functionality that we have in the Frictionless framework on the CKAN portal, that you can use it to validate all the results, all the data sets. And how does this work? Let me show you. This is an example. You can configure your CKAN portal to use it. And the first thing that you need to configure, there's a lot of configurations to do that you can choose, like if you want the validation of your results being synchronous or not. Synchronous means that every time that someone upload a new data set, a new results in your CKAN portal, the validation is going to run and is going to provide feedback to the user. Okay, this CSV has errors, has like double fields in the header, etc., or missing lines or missing column, etc. Or in this case, how I'm running here, it's asynchronous mode. This means that you can upload the results, and after you reload the page, refresh the page, you're going to see the status of this data set validation. I have here 2 results, that's basically 2 CSV files. One of that, after the validation pass, you have this label in the CKAN portal. This is standard CKAN dataset page listing the results. But what changed here is first you have this metadata that you have the results here label, meaning that if it's passed the validation or not, like if you click on the results in the label, you are going to see the report. This is part of the Frictionless web components that display, okay, this CSV is invalid because it has a duplicate label. This means that it has 2 headers with the same name, okay, sex. And if you go here in the results, don't click in the label, you can see the validation options, the schema, and validation status, and the last time that the validation run. How do you configure the validation? Now, when you edit a results in the CKAN portal, you're going to have option to upload the table schema here. It's a JSON file, or you can write it down here, or upload, or put external link to a schema. And you can also provide all the options that you usually would use in the Frictionless framework, like the layout of the CSV file, if it's comma or semicolon, if what's the comment symbol, etc. And also you can flag which errors, which validators you want to use. Like right now, you can see in the portal, we don't have any schema and any option for the validator, but we have the standard, in the framework we call the baseline checks, like there's field count, round count, blank label, etc. Duplicate label is one that in the baseline that's automatically pass. You can configure in your portal which one of these checks that you want to be as default. But if in case that I don't want to check for duplicate labels, you can provide a list of names of this validation. Like I'm going to do this, skip errors, JSON, and now the data results is valid. It's valid because I put this validation option. You can see more on how to pass these validation options. See here, we just released today in the GitHub the CKAN validation version 2 that has support for the framework, the version 5 of the framework. And yes, here it's the in the README, you have the configuration. Okay, how you skip the errors, how you pass the dialect, and how do you configure each individual checks. Like you have a check called table dimensions and framework, and you can say, okay, this CSV or spreadsheet must have at least 3 rows. You can put a maximum number of rows, a maximum number of fields, etc. Each individual check has different kinds of configuration parameters. I suggest to look in the data checks, like table page, you have all the different parameters that you can use. But let's go back here. Yeah. I think this covers the validation. Let's go back to the presentation and let's talk about Frictionless as CKAN as data portal. There is this new feature, exciting feature in the Frictionless framework that we already have support developed by Sassy for the GitHub and for Zenodo that we can import or publish packages.
I thought it was a big cookie. I was like, what is that?
Sorry?
I think someone at this house won.
Okay. This Frictionless CKAN data portal is the third portal that was implemented for the framework. It's basically provide a easy way to load the package that are living in a CKAN portal. I'm going to explain how to use it. First, there is now a new object in the library called CKAN control, and you can use as simple as that. You import the portals model and import the package as you would do normally in the framework, and you create the CKAN control. This is I'm showing first the most basic use case. That you just create an empty CKAN control. CKAN control is a class that you can pass a lot of parameters. I'm going to cover it later, but for now, I'm just saying that if I create a new package and I pass address that is living in a CKAN portal, and I say use the control of CKAN, what's going to happen if I run this? Okay, we have now a package that was loaded. It's exactly the package I was showing here, this one. You can see this, all the resource. You can check the like individual resource schema. That's named resource is the first one here, and the path for this resource, etc. And after you loaded the package, you can use all the frictionless features in this package to validate, to check for, to infer the schema, check for errors, or etc. Or convert, maybe export to a database or another format, etc. And as I said, this is the standard one that just use the CKAN control, but I could have used this base URL. That's basically you pass the base of your CKAN portal, and then when you have that, you just need to pass the dataset ID or dataset name, and this is going to load as before. You don't need to provide the full path for this package. And you can also access private data sets. For that, on the example, I created this data set here that's private. If I try to access it without providing an API key, what you are going to have is, yes, you have this nice exception that says, okay, CKAN returned the error, authorization error, access denied. And anyone that know Portan, CKAN is going to know that you can go your user, you can create an API token here. Like I can create a new one, presentation. And then you have this long string, you just copy. And now I'm going to use it. I'm going to use this new API key. API key is equal API key. If you do that, and right, oh, no, it's wrong. Okay, what's happening here? There is an error because it's complained that this data package has a schema that's not valid, and this is true. I investigated. This is not an accident from the presentation. I checked this data set, and it's this resource and has a schema that's not a valid one, because there is a, in the exception you can see the error. This missing values, its missing values is not a valid constraint in the field level, just in the package level. But anyway, if this happens, you can pass to the control a parameter like ignore schema, like true. And what's going to happen? This is going to load the data set, and you have all the resources, and you have now the original schema metadata. That is the original schema. You can use this feature when you want to correct a schema that it's already existing in a CKAN portal. You can correct the schema, generate a new schema, and update using this Frictionless portal. I'm going to show how we can do that. Okay. Okay, we covered how to do this. Well, you with this CKAN portal, you can also publish a package easily. Again, you need to have an API, especially for writing in a CKAN portal. And as we did before, but suppose that I have this file here, suppose not, because it really exists here. You can create a package, what I did here. If I do this, you can see like the CSV was loaded, it's locally. I can first, it's important, if you create a package using the Frictionless framework, you need to provide a name, because this is important for the CKAN side. CKAN need a package that has this name metadata. I'm adding this Zika virus data valido. Skip to English. And if I do this now, okay, this is going to upload the package, including the resource, and is going to give you the output that is a link to this new package, that's including the data set that was imported. Let's continue here. And update a package. If suppose you want to push some change in the package, you need to do something a little bit different. Is for the control, you need to pass this parameter called allow update, because if you don't do that, back there, if I try to run this again, it's going to give you a warning that basically this URL is already in use, because I'm using the same name, and the CKAN created data set, the address is based on the name. I could say that this is the second one, and then it's going to work. But suppose that I want to have update this package. Okay, I get the ID. I'm going to pass here. I'm do as before. except now I using this parameter allo update. And one example is that, let me show here. This data set, this resource, if you note, there is no schema. That's the case of a lot of CKAN portals that the resource don't have a schema, but you can use Frictionless to infer the schema. And after that, if you publish and you have allo update equal true, what's going to happen is, let me go back here. Here. This is the data set I was updating, and now this the framework pushed a new version of the resource, and this new version has now a schema that can be used for the validation extension to check if the data set is valid or not. Okay. And another feature is fetching package using the catalog. This means that if you want to get a lot of package or do some search query in a CKAN portal, I'm using the portal that is still alive. I don't know until when, for the Brazil federal government CKAN instance. And if first thing that I'm going to show here, I'm going to explain this later, but let me just do this. First, ignore package errors equal true is a parameter that means, okay, if you are fetching like 1,000 data sets and one of them has some error in the validation or schema is not valid, ignore it. The function is going to fetch, print the ID. You can check what exactly is happening, why there is an error. You can specify the number of packages that you want, and you can specify the offset. I'm not going to put any offset. I'm going to say get 1,000 package, and if you do that, oh, no, yes, it's worked. I'm afraid that was. It's downloaded. You have the number of packages that were downloaded. You have the message the package ID that has an error. I know what exactly this error is happening because there is some emails with some accents, and the validator is not approving that. You can. We're still discussing what to do in this kind of case. But anyway, it's just 3 packages that failed, and now that you have this catalog, you can show what's the catalog. The catalog object has these packages. I'm going to just show the first one because there is almost 1,000, and you have all the metadata information for this package that was leaving the CKAN portal. You have all the resource information, all the resource address, etc. You can, and I tested locally, but you can also use this to do iteration in all the packages from a CKAN portal, and then you use the Frictionless framework to infer a schema, and then you update all these 1,000 packages you want to provide. But you also can use the CKAN search endpoint instead of getting all the packages from a CKAN. For that, I recommend to look at API guide package search endpoint for the CKAN, but because CKAN use behind the scenes the Solar search, and you have a special syntax to filter the dataset by different fields, different tags, etc. I'm going to just show the basic one here that I'm searching. This now to do the search, you need to pass to the control a dictionary called search, and this support all the parameters that's supported by CKAN API package search endpoint. One of these parameters here is the queue, and I'm passing this word BOSA, and this is going to do a quick search, and not so quick. Okay, it's going to return 257 packages that match the word bolsa. It's very popular word to the Brazilian portal. You can also specify all the packages from organization, passing, okay, you have an organization name, and when you do that, you have much smaller version, a number of package. You can also, I think I did not create the slide, but you can also specify the group, passing the group ID. Group ID. I don't have any group ID in my mind here. Let me see. And yes, in Brazilian portal it's called Tima. Let me copy here this group ID. And I copied. Okay, we have 9. Let's check here. There was 9, and it's working as expected. No surprise here. We can see it's not a big number of. Let's check again. So yes, we have all this data sets, metadata loaded here. Much more that you have just accessing the website, of course. And I think this cover, there is already in the framework some documentation. I think it was published today. It is in the data portals, CKAN. Yes, it is. Here, how you treat a package, how you ignore a resource schema, publish a package. There are some new features like the update of a package that is not covered yet, but it's going to update the documents in the next days. Reading a catalog, as you saw now, how to fetch a package. There's some new features being discussed as how to get out the. Usually, the CKAN portal they put a limit in the number. Same question here. On preoccupation updates, what's the logical brand which resource should be updated?
We can also do questions later if you want, Edgar,
yeah,
as you wish.
Yeah, and yeah, but I was basically going to open for the question now, and the logic now is it's see all the resources that are not remote. This means that if you fetch the create a new resource that's leaving your computer and add this to a package that you downloaded like from a portal, when you update in CKAN, it's just going to update the file, the results that are new inside in your computer and not a remote one. The remote one, it's just going to update the metadata. Like if you change the name, if you change the schema, it's going to update the results remote. I think this is up for discussion. It's not hard to change this behavior, but probably we will need some control in the CKAN control, some parameters to say, okay, maybe specify which resource you want to update, because I can imagine that you fetch some data and sometimes you need to update not the metadata, but you need to update the data set. Like this SB has an error, you fix it maybe using framework, and then you update the data. To do that for just one resource right now, it's not going to work, except if you delete. Yes, I remember this public functionality update already existing, but do not delete. Maybe this is also another feature to think, but we need to think how to do this in a safe way. Round trip CKAN. Yes. Did you manage to do the round trip? Yes, this is the frictionless CKAN mapper, but there is still work to do for sure. And this is why I was testing in the Brazilian CKAN portal, and there was a lot of changes to the frictionless CKAN mapper to do this mapping correctly, and probably we are going to find more corner case or other changes that needs to be done. And yeah, and now officially open for questions.